Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David Rooney, publisher of Revelstoke Current, and welcome to In Conversation, our periodic discussion about local politics with people both famous and local and not yet so famous and not so local. But we'll see what happens. This is Wayne Stetski. Wayne is the federal NDP candidate for Kootenay, Columbia. And Wayne, welcome to In Conversation. Welcome to Revelstoke.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So now you are going to be are you already the?
Yes.
You are already.
Yeah.
There was a coronation of sorts, I guess.
Yes.
You were a mayor of Cranbrook, so you're familiar with municipal issues in our area, and you're sinking your teeth into the federal ones now. Tell me a bit about yourself, your background. What should people need to know about you?
The short version, I guess, is that I've spent my life serving the public in different capacities. I was the regional manager for the Ministry of Environment for the East and West Kootenays, responsible for provincial parks, so including, of course, Martha and Blanket Creek locally, and fish and wildlife and ecosystems. So the whole range of what I think makes the East and West Kootenays and the area around Revelstoke so special.
What's prompted you to jump over to federal politics?
Well, the phone started to ring in December with people asking me to run federal. And so I sat down and I wrote myself a letter asking, why would I want to do this? And the answer came back very clearly and very quickly. And the title of my little writing piece became Missing Canada. For me, when I looked at where things are going with the federal government, with the Harper Conservative government, there were so many different aspects of it that were of concern to me. And I've spent my life not willing to sort of sit back, letting bad things happen to good people. And so I decided that this is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to make a difference in terms of where Canada is going, but also in terms of representation in Kootenay, Columbia riding.
What about what kind of issues do you think are going to be of primary interest to voters in this riding?
Well, here in Revelstoke, I think the Trans-Canada Highway and improving that. Recently there was an article in the news about the 46 deaths in the Trans-Canada Highway since 2003, I believe it was, and that's 46 too many. This stretch of highway, as you know, gets closed way too often. Way too much tragedy happens on it. So for Revelstoke area, I think the Trans-Canada Highway is number one. But there are larger national issues. Everything from what's happening with the environment. I've spent my whole life working with and for the environment. And for me, watching what's been happening nationally in Ottawa with over 1,800 scientists have been laid off. The lack of any initiative around climate change, where there's an agency in Europe that ranks countries around the world around climate change and initiatives, and Canada came in 58th out of 61 countries in our ranking for lack of any kind of federal initiative around climate change. So the environment, very important for me. The democracy itself, quite frankly, I'm concerned about. And for me, it's everything from omnibus bills, which tuck a lot of really important policy or legal issues into one large bill, and then ask people to vote on it along with the budget, when individual pieces really need to be debated. It's things like Bill C-51 currently, and everybody agrees we need to do everything we can to prevent terrorists and terrorism in Canada, but again, the legal experts that have reviewed that consider that it's gone too far potentially, and there's only 19%, a recent poll done about a week ago, only 19% of Canadians support the bill as it currently sits. So I'm very curious as to what the Conservative government will do with that. Military, we were recognized most of my life as being peacekeepers internationally, and very well recognized for that. Our role seems to have been changing, and the last year in particular, there's been a lot of issue or concerns around how veterans have been treated as well. And it goes, you know, the list goes on and on. It's CBC radio and television, which to me links our country together and shares our issues. There's a proposal to cut another $150 million from the CBC. It's daycare, the need for affordable daycare, affordable housing. It's a long list.
Yeah, but what items on that list do you think are going to resonate with voters in this riding? So you can say a lot of things about a lot of major issues,
right.
But if it doesn't come home to rattle around in your own home in your own neighborhood,
right.
Then it's not going anywhere.
Right.
You know, this is a problem for any opposition party. I mean, this has been a conservative riding since 1993,
right.
And it's solidly conservative federally,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been primarily a New Democratic Party provincially. So there's a bit of a kind of a schizophrenic take here on things. But my own observations here for the last 15 years is people tend to vote pocketbook issues, what they think are pocketbook issues, and what's going to resonate, what's going to touch them personally, them and their families. So how do you make that? How do you approach people as a New Democratic Party candidate in this riding?
Well, I think that's partially right. I think, in this riding, Jim Abbott, of course, was the member of Parliament for a long period of time. Started out as a reformer and became a conservative. I know Jim very well. And I think the support for the Conservatives in this riding, quite frankly, was based a lot on Jim and who Jim was as an individual. So I think I've always voted for whoever I thought was the best person running in an election, best candidate, not only from a personal perspective, but for people that I thought would really represent my interests well. And so, you know, over time, my vote has gone in a lot of different directions. So I think Jim built up a great following, potentially for the Conservatives, but he's been gone now for 4 years now. And so I think there's an opportunity there from a personal perspective. In terms of the policy questions, again, the Trans-Canada Highway, I think, is probably #1 locally. Mm-hmm. But all these other issues, like affordable daycare, when I was mayor of Cranbrook, it resonated in Cranbrook. There were people that were concerned about coming to Cranbrook if they couldn't find daycare and affordable daycare. Things like healthcare is important. I'm in touch with a lot of seniors and seniors groups, and they're quite concerned that the Conservative government have not signed off a health accord with the provinces, and moving into potentially more privatization of healthcare when you're on a very limited income, as most pensioners are, is of concern to senior citizens. So there are individual issues for different groups, I guess, would be the best way to look at it.
Coming to healthcare, I mean, that's primarily a provincial responsibility, and for much of the Trans-Canada between Revelstoke and Golden, a lot of it is provincial.
It is, until you get to Revelstoke Baser Park, right? Which
Pretty
is
much
a major stretch and a major concern, and there have been a lot of promises over the last few years, but not much action in terms of fixing up that stretch of the highway.
And are you willing to talk to the province about openly about getting this done?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked with, when I was with the provincial government as regional manager, I worked with a lot of the different highways district managers, and so very comfortable talking to people that are in charge of highways and in kind of a language that they understand. Still have some personal friends that are district managers of highways around the region.
Well, tell me a bit about your family. You're married. You have kids.
Yep.
I think you have at least one grandchild.
Yeah, with 3 adult children.
Yeah.
Been married to Audrey for 36 years. She's a teacher and a musician. Have 3 adult kids, 14-year-old grandchild. We've lived in Cranbrook for 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Are they prepared for the kind of life that you could be subjecting them to if you win?
Well, one of the first things I did was have my wife talk to Anne Adamanenko, so our current MP's wife, to ask about life in Ottawa and what that was like. And they spent about an hour on the phone. So I made sure that Audrey was comfortable with this before I decided to take on the mantle.
Mm-hmm. Although I should caution the audience here, Adam Adamanenko is not our MP.
Yeah.
He's MP down in West County.
Yeah.
But just so people know. and this is the kind of change that's going to, that would affect your entire life. I mean, you'd be apart from, possibly be apart from your family, from your wife, possibly,
yeah,
for extended periods of time. And well, a lot of the time that you're here, it's going to be walking. It's going to be driving around a very large riding.
Yeah. What I like about the riding though is that with the addition of Nelson, Selmo, and Caslow, it parallels my old region when I was regional manager, and so very used to, I guess, driving around the communities, familiar with most of the communities. They had offices in Revelstoke here, it's a one-person office, in Vermeer, large office in Cranbrook, a large office in Nelson. So I spent a fair bit of time driving around the region, for about 7 years while I was regional manager. So very comfortable with the area geographically, and I really think I understand the values that we have here.
Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of contact, but still have a lot of contacts here, I presume.
I do, yeah. Still have some friends I made in Revelstoke. First association with Revelstoke actually was in 1974, and I came here. I was going to university, getting my Bachelor of Science and my teaching certificate. Mm-hmm. And then the summers I worked as a park naturalist out at Long Beach on the west coast of Vancouver Island. And then was asked to come here one fall. And my job was to write a script, take photographs, and then put together a two-projector, state-of-the-art canned slideshow on the natural and cultural history of Revelstoke Park. So lived here for 4 months and continued to tell people often that Revelstoke has the largest snowflakes in the world right here in Revelstoke.
That's probably true.
And my very first time downhill skiing was actually here at the Revelstoke Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
It wasn't much of a hill then.
As a beginner, it felt like quite a hill, actually. Yeah.
Sure.
But you didn't have the longest vertical anywhere like you do now, for sure. Back then.
Let's talk a bit about the campaign. There is no formal campaign that's been kicked off. This is one of your very first stops in terms of campaigning, and it's pretty low key at this point.
Yeah.
You appeared before our city council this afternoon, and you're attending a meet and greet kind of coffee thing at Bill and Lily McFarland's house this evening.
Yes.
You'll meet many of the local, maybe all of the local New Democrats. We'll see. Certainly a lot of teachers I know will be there.
Right.
What's the rest of your time look like in the intervening months between now and October? How can you sketch out the campaign for you?
I guess this is spring break, right? And so we were just down in Vancouver on our way back from Vancouver. But before we went to Vancouver, we had the inaugural meeting in Cranbrook on Sunday afternoon. Then went to Nelson on Monday for 2 events. Headed down to the coast, and it turned out that Tom Mulcair was coming to Vancouver on the Wednesday. So went into the rally in Vancouver and met with Tom for a little bit. Here in Revelstoke today, and then tomorrow I have 2 events in Golden. Go home for a couple of days, and then Sunday is Selmo. So I expect we're going to see that kind of a pattern ongoing for the next 7 months. I do intend to be out in every community more than once, and I'm looking forward to not only, I guess, reacquainting myself with old friends and sort of old memories, but also hearing from the people all around the riding in terms of what their priorities are. As mayor, I really was quite familiar with a lot of the challenges that we all face, and I still consider this a rural part of Canada.
Well, yeah, it should be.
Compared to other places. So there are lots of challenges on a day-to-day basis that we experience in all of our communities around infrastructure, around potentially affordable housing. And I know Revelstoke just got involved with a poverty reduction strategy. When I was mayor of Cranbrook, about 2 weeks after I became mayor, I volunteered Cranbrook for a poverty reduction pilot project. There were 7 communities around BC that were selected for that. So I'm really familiar with a lot of the sort of global issues, but I want to hear from constituents around what is most important to them right in their own backyards. And So that's really what part of the next 7 months is going to be, is continuing my education, because I'm a lifelong learner, so looking forward to finding out more about people's priorities.
Good. One thing people always want to ask is will the leader come here? Will we get a political leader here? Will Tom Mulcair come to our riding and address people? Is that kind of thing you can say that you're going to work on? Or
when I met with Tom last Wednesday night, that's one of the things I said to Tom is, you need to come out to the riding. So getting on his list so that he will come out here at some point.
Well, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be excellent. Well, thank you very much for speaking with me. One last question.
Sure.
Do you have a website yet?
We're working on it. We've got email, we've got phone.
Okay.
We're now about 8 days into my official candidacy, so we're working on the website.
Okay, good. Well, I'm sure your assistant will let me know as soon as it's ready, so I could post that on the Current.
That would be great if you would do that.
Well, I'd be happy to do that, Wade.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this. I should mention that this interview has been done at the Revelstoke Public Library, and I'm very grateful to them for the opportunity to come and use their space. Thank you.